In mid-February, I read a blog post about Richard Dawkins. Richard Dawkins is a famous author for the book The God Delusion. He suffered from a stroke. Digging in deeper on what caused that stroke, well, he went through a lot of stress. The stress was from social media. You see, Richard Dawkins shared something which could be perceived as controversial, and he shared it on Twitter. And the social media backlash stressed him enough that a stroke happened. This is Chris Bahura, and welcome to my channel, Breaking Status Quo. Richard Dawkins suffered from a mild stroke, and he's recovering. But let's go in deeper into that social media backlash that he experienced. Richard Dawkins shared something very controversial on Twitter. It was a video that someone pulled together, a satire, a parody, that compared Islam with feminism. So not only did Richard Dawkins share something that was controversial, it was literally controversial cubed. Talking about Islam is a controversy. Talking about feminism is a controversy. Comparing the two is another controversy. That's 3 controversies. So the potential of a social media backlash was pretty likely. But Dawkins didn't realize that the social media backlash would come from those that he supported in the past. Those that knew him very well. And that's what hurt him more than anything else. Dawkins was attacked by allies, by people that didn't give him the benefit of the doubt. Social media can be a very toxic environment. An environment that's driven by strong personalities, promoting a very tabloid norm. The problem is that a small select few on social media are using social media as weapons. They are weaponizing social media, terrorizing people online. There are quite a few people afraid to talk out because of being flagged in the social media or facing a lawsuit. What happened to Dawkins is a symptom to a much bigger problem. That this toxicity in the social media, this weaponization, is spilling into and out of social media. It's spilling into our health, into our society, and also into our legal system. That said, social media on its own is not bad. Social media is just a tool. But like all tools, it depends upon who's using the tool that makes it either good or bad. So what would healthy social media look like online? Well, the pattern goes with a trigger, a response, and a swarm. People are triggered to respond online. May it be from content that was searched, shared, or in their feed. And it's content that they like or they really agree with. And so they respond. They respond that they like it. The response is factual. The response doesn't have too much hearsay, not any controversy. And that it's around something that they believe in. For instance, maybe there's a victim that needs to be protected. Something that people feel that this victim needs the benefit of the doubt. And so people swarm. They swarm to support the cause by requoting things that are online and will provide some things that will be a little bit of misinformation. But there's not a high level of controversy. Everyone is on the same page and everyone just likes and supports the cause. This is what healthy social media looks like. But the toxicity in social media doesn't look even close to this. The toxicity has a lot more steps to it, where there's a trigger, a response, a swarm, a silence, a destroy, and then a spill into society outside of the social media. After looking at almost 50 scenarios online, these are the main steps on how you weaponize social media. It always starts with a trigger. Something that you posted online through social media. It was discovered through a search, a share, or in someone's feed. Some people may have liked what you posted, some people may have agreed with it. But then there are people that disagree. And not only disagree, they think you're an idiot, uneducated, stupid. And then there are some that take it even further. with hate. They hate your guts. No rationale, they just hate your guts. And then there are people who have nothing to do with being personal with what you posted. They see it as a monetization opportunity. These people then take some time to collect their thoughts on how they're going to frame their response. Is it going to be a complaint? Or are they going to share something personal? Or are they going to structure it as being offended and at times being very positioned, using extremely strong language and threats? And then the response is posted. It may include factual information, or the way the response is structured would exclude you from a group, or include you in another group, making you look really, really bad. Some will go into the point of calling you names, using profanity. Some get very clever and frame things as a controversy, associating something that you've posted, may it be very innocent, into something associated being much more devious. And some even go a step further by making a total fiction and placing you within that fiction. Is also the structure and promotion of a boogeyman, and that you somehow are enabling the boogeyman or working with the boogeyman. After the response phase is completed, the swarming begins. The swarm is going to be directed by what the group wants to be true. And they're going to pick a victim. This swarm is usually directed by an ideology and deeply offended on how you would challenge that ideology. Some, under the cloud of the ideology, are trolls, just taking advantage of the situation to gain attention for their own ends. And throughout all this, people are taking a business advantage from the situation. You will start receiving a lot of responses, an extremely high volume of responses, of things being re-quoted from off the internet, from off of social media. You're going to notice a high level of people who are uninformed. You'll find if it gets too bad and escalates, that the effort will be coordinated. You will be part and a target of a witch hunt. And to support this witch hunt, some may even go further by providing you with statistics. Statistics to support how wrong you are. Statistics that are usually works of fiction. And if it gets extremely bad, the shredding begins. The people who are part of that ideology, that are part of that swarm, if the swarm is treating someone extremely negative, will start doing their best to be deleting information off of social media. Information that will be able to protect you and your point of view. And when the swarm reaches critical mass, the silencing begins. There will be an orchestrated effort to silence you and your point of view, to make you disengage from social media altogether. They might call you out on some issues, or shame you, threaten you and your livelihood, share personal information, outed you in terms of your name, your financial statements. They might put together fake pictures and pornography on you and share that with everyone in your camp, in your community. They might go as far as using publicity of shaming you in the newspapers. Through social media, they may block you from various communities, deplatform you. They may flag your accounts using the automated algorithms to suspend you from any form of social media you use. Some will use all of this as a smokescreen so that they can steal from you. They will use the algorithms of your social media platform against you so that they can somehow monetize the opportunity. And just like in social media, when it gets out of hand, then we get to destroy, where these people that swarm against you, that say these terrible things against you, say these terrible things about you, will start smearing your reputation. They will start emailing and phoning the people you work with to complain about you and to say that you're a terrible person. Some will go to the extent of calling your boss so that you get fired. They will continue to harass you. Some will stalk you. Some will file lawsuits against you. And some may even put you into a position where you could be charged for some crime. You are now just one of many that have been harassed, threatened, and traumatized by this unnecessary level of attacks. But it doesn't stop there. You're not the only one. There are many just like you. So much that this social media is bleeding outside of social media into society. These negative and dangerous attacks are now being practiced by activists. Things that people felt comfortable doing online, they are now doing in the real world. They're using silencing tactics. They're using triggering, penetrating into academia. It's being practiced by advisory firms on how to leverage social media. The toxicity of social media is making its way into the definitions. Social media is coining several terms that were once used in legal, and they are redefining those terms. This is impacting policies, creating unnecessary litigation, and because of the level of misinformation and the level of fiction and toxicity, it is finding its way into the laws. Those that make the laws are highly misinformed from the content that's contained within social media. Because social media is not a collection of records. Social media is the electronic version of hearsay. We need to disarm social media. We need to unweaponize social media. Let's go into some specific examples, categories of what I've seen online. I'll include links at the end of this video. Let's start off with Doug Walker, a popular YouTuber based in Chicago, USA. He is known as the Nostalgia Critic, and he's an actor and reviews TV shows and movies. He uses quite a bit of clips in his YouTube videos, clips that fall clearly under fair use. The problem is that he is constantly battling people that put strikes and claims against his content. Claims that make it difficult for him to monetize his videos. There is really no justification to any of those claims. Here's what the pattern of attack against him looks like. The next example is of Matthew Santero, a well-known Toronto Canadian that does top 10 lists that can be very educational. When he's attacked, this is what the pattern of attack looks like. For a third example, we'll use someone who comes from the science arena, Phil Mason, otherwise known as Thunderfoot. He's a blogger, a skeptic, an atheist, very analytical, and always looks and provides evidence in his YouTube videos. He applies the scientific method, and he goes by the evidence and the chain of cause and effect that evidence provides. This is the pattern of attack that he faces when he touches on controversial topics. For my last example, I'm going to talk about Jian Ghomeshi, a former CBC radio broadcaster. He had a good presence with his audience, but also with the ladies as well. With his recreation of being into 50 Shades of Grey, it really sent the rumor mill going. Then a few ladies came forward with charges that during the 50 Shades of Grey, he assaulted them. Social media did not help the court case. It biased the witnesses. It biased the court. Not only that, social media and the drama of social media heavily influenced the witnesses to unknowingly lie during their testimonies in court. This is a court case that will change some of the laws around social media and how social media is used in a court of law. This is what the pattern of attack looked like for Jian. Despite the outcome of the court case, social media ended Jian Ghomeshi's career. We have to stop the weaponization of social media. But how would we go about doing that? How can we stop the weaponization and not take away the positive benefits of social media? Well, we have to keep the drama. Social media became successful as a communication tool because it mirrors the grapevine. It seems to include storytelling and helps support a level of freedom of speech that is almost unprecedented. We need to keep the drama. We can't help people looking bad on social media. Some people, they have to look bad because what they're saying or what their position is very bad. but we have to protect people from being totally destroyed unfairly. To unweaponize social media, we need to have people, then content. We have to stop the idea of protecting information and focus more on how people use information. May they use it in the right way or the wrong way. We have to strike away any ideas of doing the 1984 thing. We have to focus on the behaviors that people practice to weaponize social media. Social media is not bad. Ideas are not bad. What's bad is what people do in social media, and more importantly, what their intent is for doing the things that they do on social media. To disarm social media, the platform providers need to instill internal policies within their own corporate walls, but also with the people that are using their platform, their social media platforms. There needs to be training on intent and clearly having a set of policies and regulations transparent to the people that use the platform. Platforms also need to provide people that help with facilitation so that when the swarm happens and people are angry, there are other bodies in there to help calm people down, to stop the escalation. We also need to establish a set of accountabilities, that everybody is accountable for what they do online, and even accountable for what they post online, and what actions are led from that. So this means we need to provide sets of tools to help people in the social media be accountable. And we have to acknowledge that the people that provide social media platforms are businesses, and businesses do not do a good job of regulating themselves. So government needs to legislate to help regulate and manage social media. Social media has to adopt a specific position in laws to be more of hearsay. The wordsmithing that goes around in social media to emotionally charge cannot find its way into the laws. The laws must consider what was the intent of the social media and not rely solely on the content of the social media, which most likely will be taken out of context. And these laws have to take in consideration that social media is the new human environment, and so that any regulations around human safety, environmental laws, and even toxicity need to be incorporated into the social media legislation. And because social media crosses borders, and anything involving trade agreements and arrangements between countries needs to consider social media as part of that arrangement. It only takes a small number of people to turn social media into a weapon. So to combat this, we need to heavily rely on things like big data solutions and algorithms to monitor and enforce policies that will disarm social media. Algorithms that will treat people fairly and give people the benefit of the doubt. Algorithms that won't ban individuals that are partaking in social media in the favor of big business. It will stop people from leveraging the existing algorithms to silence people, to get them suspended from their social media accounts. These solutions and this protection of de-weaponization will help stop people from deleting evidence to support a specific point of view or a certain level of whistleblowing. And most importantly, these algorithms will protect people from an attack by clearly understanding when an attack is going to happen, prevent the escalation, and prevent people from demonizing people who have innocently posted things online. Richard Dawkins is a symptom to a much more serious problem, that social media is now having a much stronger impact on us and our society. It can affect our livelihood, it can affect our health, it also can affect our freedoms, our freedom of speech. To protect social media, to protect us, we need to disarm, we need to unweaponize social media. Are you stressed out by social? Do you see social driving and bleeding into real life? Do you see social influencing and impacting policies, litigation, claims, and even the legal system and the words of law, it's time to disarm. It's time to unweaponize social media. If you'd like to continue the conversation, I can be reached at country code 1-226-984-8102 or at my email cpahura@csweetdata.com. Thanks for listening.